This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
This podcast is supported by Talkspace.
When my husband came home from his military deployment, readjusting was hard for all of us. Thankfully, I found Talkspace.
Talkspace provides professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatric providers online. Military members, veterans, and their dependents ages 13 and older can get fast access to providers, all from the privacy of their computers or smartphones.
I just answered a few questions online, and Talkspace matched me with a therapist. We meet when it's convenient for me, and I can message her anytime. It was so easy to set up, and they accept TRICARE. Therapy was going so well, my husband and I started seeing a couples therapist through Talkspace too.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, including TRICARE. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com/military. Go to Talkspace.com/military to get started today. That's Talkspace.com/military.
This is Jennifer Hale, and you're listening to the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And, I should go.
The Digest this week continue all the way to episode 504 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. And by the end of this, your to be read, to be watched, to be consumed list is going to be longer. And sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, yeah. Basically, we're in our trench.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. Basically, instead of me, I got two other people with trench coats with, let us introduce you to new fandoms.
Yeah, hey kid, want something new to grab your attention?
Yes.
That's going to be after the next little bit.
We are the enablers.
Yes.
Oh, so welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you could join us, although you may question that. Let's start off like we do every week with the virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Chrissy from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel on the surface of the sun. Oh my goodness. At least it feels like it.
This is the time of year where you stay inside and you sit by your AC and do not move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once you get past the 4th of July, it's like, okay,
what's the point anymore?
What are we doing now?
Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
All I can say is I'm glad summer school is done.
Yeah. I do have one training I have to go to before I actually properly go back to work. So, which thankfully I get paid for. So I'm gonna have a random like tiny little paycheck for like 3 hours.
Is that in August or is that this month?
No, that's like 2 days from now. So,
oh, nice.
Okay.
So I guess, yeah. Well, it's kind of have to. It's the training for the new Skyward, so I kind of have to have some idea of what I'm doing before I go back. So.
Yeah. Maybe if there's any pertinent documents that you could possibly share and send my way, just so I can out of interest.
Holly and I are going to be in
the
discussion.
same operating system of Skyward. Anything I can learn.
Yeah, and anything you could teach me.
Exactly. Yes.
You have an in, sort of.
Yes. So, but yeah. But thankfully I still have some time before I actually properly have to go back to work. So that's good. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Hopefully the air conditioning is working at the school.
Yes.
Yes. So, all right. Well, we don't have a whole lot in the way of news, and that's because fandom Christmas is quickly approaching. All the studios and stuff are slowly teasing their various panels and stuff. So we know that Doctor Who is going to be there. Marvel, I'm sure,
Yep.
in DC, and I know that George Lucas is actually
His
doing a
first Comic
panel.
Con, I think. Yeah.
Yes, and it's not even Star Wars related. It's about the museum that's opening up in Los Angeles next year.
Very cool.
So
that'll be it. So I'm hoping San Diego Comic Con, in their wisdom, will have somebody there recording and posting these up on YouTube in a timely manner to stop the people from these, uploading to the cell phone. Not that I don't mind those, but it's just like I'd like to have better camera angles.
Yeah.
And clearer sound.
Something
So yeah,
simple,
it's gonna
more
be
official and proper.
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna be southwest of downtown Los Angeles. It's the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art.
Cool.
So
Okay.
he's co-founding it, and yeah, it's supposed to. It's on 11. It's got the website's already up, so you can look at like the concept art and stuff. So, but it's going to be 11-acre campus with green space, and the building itself is going to be 300,000 square feet, which will have galleries, 2 state-of-the-art theaters, and dedicated spaces for learning, engaging, dining, retail, and events. So,
well, I got relatives who live in California.
dedicated to the art of illustrated stories. But yeah, it's not due to open until next year.
Okay.
But I guess George is going to give a little talky talk about it at Phantom Christmas.
Well, I mean, it's bearing his name, so
yeah,
really checking out, like, hey, yeah, this is what it's gonna be.
Well, you sign your name on a big enough check, they'll put your name on all sorts of things.
This is true.
So
just want to make sure that they're doing right by you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I wonder if Mr. Sansweet's gonna offer some of his collection to store, or unless he's just gonna keep his museum safe, because I know that I know a few years ago he had some issues with people taking stuff from his museum. So I'm wondering, maybe if they join forces.
I don't know, because I mean, I'm sure Star Wars will be a part of it, but it's not. This is not just Star Wars. This is like motion pictures and other forms of storytelling and art. So,
gotcha.
So yeah, like I said, George is only co-founding it. So, but
still,
he wrote the check, so it's gonna. Yeah, his name is first. So, but yeah, that's why it's been kind of quiet, because Phantom Christmas is in, like, not this coming weekend as recording this, but the weekend after that. So, wild. But
hopefully, and we'll have to see how many times the internet goes exploding over the course of that.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Just
so
keep
I mean, I'm just saying that, Marvel kind of has a big movie opening that same weekend. So
yep.
We shall see what comes out of all of that. So
watch this space.
Yep. But closer to home, actually the weekend after Fandom Christmas, is Gen Con here in Indy, and to nobody's surprise, I am sure that badges are selling out. So if you're one of those last minute folks, you might want to wait not too much longer, because 4-day and Saturday are almost sold out. And those will probably be sold out before the end of the month. And there are limited quantities of Thursday, Friday, and Sunday badges, which those are single day. So just telling you. And also, when it gets like this, where they are selling out way before the convention even starts, that means that if you because I believe the deadline for having anything mailed to you is passed, which means you are going to have to stand in the pickup line, and it is long.
Mm-hmm.
So plan accordingly. Otherwise, you are going to waste your entire day standing in line for will call, which I hate to see. So, especially on Sunday, because that tends to be like the family day where people bring like their kids and stuff, and they're just like in this line pretty much the entire day. And it's like y'all are just losing valuable time. So there's your warning.
So get on that, yo.
Yep. So, and here's the thing with will call is like if you're only getting like a Sunday badge to like take your kids and stuff, if you can get downtown before Sunday, you can pick up your badge before the day.
Mm-hmm.
So like as soon as will call opens, on Wednesday, you can go pick up whatever you ordered.
Yeah.
So
you can just go grab it, and then you're like, hey, we're set for the day. So then you don't, if you are taking your kids as a parent, you don't have to wait in line with your children, and they're wondering, when are we going in? Because even when we get our con tickets or badges and stuff, we get them early, and we're still like, they're like, we want to get in, I'm like, okay, we got to find a parking spot and all that mess. So just. Although, for the parents out there, I am not telling you anything you don't already know. I'm just commiserating.
Yes. Yep. So there's your and now you know moment. Yep. All right. So that's really it for news. We'll move on to feedback. Of course, we got some feedback from Shalane. Says, welcome back, girls. Hope you had a great 4th of July. Here's this week's feedback. I told you girls a few weeks ago there is going to be a sequel to Devil Wears Prada. Well, I just forgot, okay? I've had anesthesia since then. I'm still hoping to travel to London to see the stage production or wait till it comes to Broadway. Take me with you. Also, I want to convince a friend of mine to dress up as Andy and Miranda with me for Halloween one year. Yes, I still want the Funko Pop figures from the movie. Here's a trailer I think you girls missed, the new Cat in a Hat animated movie. It looks so much better in animation than the old live action version. The new voice cast is great too. It just looks like it's going to be a lot more fun overall. Yeah, I'm sure.
Oh boy.
Seuss and animation go together like peanut butter and jelly, and that's the way it should be.
There is a full-on, several YouTube documentaries detailing why that Cat in the Hat thing just did not work out, and oh gosh, it's even worse than you thought.
Fun stuff. Yep.
Carry on.
Let's see. Rachel Boss saw Wicked recently, just in different cities. I saw the Target Production Salt Lake. I'm now officially ready for Wicked Part 1. Actually, it's Part 2, but for good to come out. Also, I feel like this podcast episode helped make up for Brittany and Chrissy missing the Wizard of Oz episode back in December. Well, there you go.
Yeah, we did. We were.
In May, I kicked off my summer by seeing Wicked and the stage production of The Wizard of Oz at Southern Utah, both in the same month. I plan to wrap up the summer with Legally Blonde the musical, plus The Little Mermaid and Newsies as on our theaters. But first, gotta save up. You and me both. When I saw Wicked, I wore my Her Universe Glinda dress, brought my Glinda and Elphaba Funko Pops, and even had Glinda's wand and crown with me. I also wore a shirt I got for the Wizard of Oz stage show. I've started a new tradition, bringing a Funko Pop of the show's character to the theater with me, taking pictures with it, whether it's Wicked, Frozen, Legally Blonde, Mean Girls, or Wizard of Oz. It just makes the experience more fun. Hey, it makes for good photo ops, too. Aside from Wicked, shows still running on Broadway include The Lion King and Hamilton. Yes. Back to Wicked for a second. I did cry during the stage version this time, but my 12-year-old self definitely cried during the movie. I've heard that Wicked for Good will include some brand new songs, and there were also songs in the stage show that weren't in the original cast album. I wonder if those will make it into the film, too. That's all for this week. Thanks for all the amazing content, and I'll talk to you girls again soon. Yes, they're slowly letting folks know what to expect with Wicked for Good. I did know, I saw, I don't know if it was the director or I forget who it was, that I saw an article talking about a major plot change, something they're changing from the stage version, just because I don't want to spoil anything, again, for those who don't know, but let's just say they talked to people of a certain community and got their 2 cents on whether this particular plot
Yep.
point, this
Mhm.
particular plot point made sense, and they were like, actually, no, we kind of don't like it, so
Mhm.
they're going to adjust it. And so, which, consider, we're dealing with several different characters who have their own, thing that makes them quote unquote different, you know. So, but yeah, that I'll be interested to see how they adjust that so that they still get the same result from that particular scene. But I trust them and I understand why they're doing it. I'm not a member of that community, but I understand why they're doing it. So, but yeah, I'm still very much on like Wicked. So I'm still very much got it on the brain, even with all the other things to grab my attention every now and then. So, but thank you, Shalane, for your feedback as usual. So, all right. Well, we are going to do something we have not done in quite a while, and that is sharing, for better or worse, the things that we are watching, reading, listening to, just the media that we're consuming right now, to share and share alike, and
I'm actually
exponentially grow everybody's lists.
Mhm.
I'm actually glad that we decided to do this because I have been reading so many different books, and I'm like, how would we do a podcast episode on these? And I don't think we really
Uh-huh.
could.
Yeah.
Um,
And,
not
Chrissy
because
commented about the gift that I had posted in our group
yes,
chat.
Yeah, I would say
The
our
Supernatural has a gift for everything. It's Crowley with the contract with a list of demands. Like, that's our list, pretty much.
that's my list, and I like because I'm like, well, currently I'm using it as a loose term because I've been like devouring all these books. Audiobooks are your friend, by the way.
Yes.
And they are reading. I don't care who tells you otherwise. I'm a librarian. I'm a professional. It's reading. Anyway, but I'm like, because by the time you guys would get them and read them, I would be like 10 miles down the road on my to be read list. So I'm like, I like that we're doing this. I like we're doing this because I can just say, I read this, I read this, I read this, I read this, write it down. It's great.
Yeah, because I don't know. I think it would be a photo finish if you unraveled Crowley's contract, our lists, and a CVS receipt to see which one got to the end first.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I keep track of my reading with like spreadsheets and Goodreads, and I've gotten on with the story graph, and I'm a little. It's a sickness, and
yeah. I'm pretty good about keeping track of what I'm reading. My issue is keeping track of what I own.
Uh-huh.
That's another one that's true.
So,
or if the book company in their infinite wisdom decides, oh, we're going to change the cover on that book, and then you was like, wait a minute, do I have that one? Oh crud, I already got it. Different cover. Gee, thanks.
Yeah. Well, and I go to like, I tend to hit up,
or even the libraries. It's like I checked one out. I'm like, this sounds familiar. Oh, I read this before. They just updated the cover and made it look like I hadn't read it.
Yeah. Or it's just like, do I own this? Because I have a habit of going to book sales, especially library book sales, where, they're selling all the stuff that's no longer in circulation for whatever reason.
Yep.
And, you can buy books for pennies on the dollar for, compared to their publishing price on
Price.
the,
Yep.
it's usually on the back.
It's
And
basically
yeah,
comes down
and
to
try,
library treat
sometimes I'll look at a book and be like, is this familiar because I've read it or because I own it but I haven't read it yet?
which is a legitimate problem sometimes.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh man, yeah.
So
lots of things that we're reading.
Yeah. So should we go since we're kind of on that topic, should we go ahead and do books first?
Sure.
That's actually what I have listed first on I have my notes.
Well, there you go then.
I will copy and paste into the show notes. And this
sounds like Chrissy's volunteering to go first then.
Sure, why not? This is by no means exhaust. I'm so ridiculous, but I love it. So I had to split this up into manga and into actual novels. Mostly because yesterday I was like binge reading so many things, and then we popped up like, oh hey, we're doing this. I'm like, oh well, here we go. So I've got 3 series that I want to talk about as far as manga goes. So one of them is Yona of the Dawn that I'm reading. I just finished volume 35. Yes, and there are many more to go. I think there's like 45 total that are out, and it's still ongoing. And
not quite up there with One Piece, but getting there.
No, but there is an anime for it too. But I think the anime like had one short season, and then they stopped. It's one of those. It's like, oh. Also, anime is they've been kind of anime is being made more for streaming, so it's like 12, 24 episodes and they're done, even if the manga keeps going. And there's a couple of series that I've enjoyed that are like that, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. But Yona of the Dawn, it's great. It's so the premise is this princess. She's very coddled, very sheltered. She's got her bodyguard and her cousin are like her best friends that she grows up with. Well, then, like on her 16th birthday, her cousin murders her father and crowns himself king, and she has to be on the run. But then there's like she's like this reincarnation of this they call him the Crimson Dragon King, and she's got to find her 4 dragon guardians, that kind of thing. But then it's not just like a fetch quest. It's like they're going around to the kingdom and finding out what the problems are, and did they really was her father really as good a king as she thought he was, and what is she going to do? And like kind of coming out of that pampered, sheltered existence that she had been, and it's pretty good, and it's like there's a lot of good character work, a lot of the artwork's great. There's a love story, of course, and it's fun. It's a good one. So Yona of the Dawn. I'm sure there's probably people out there like, how are you only on volume 35? You need to be right here with us. I've heard there's a cliffhanger of the last issue or volume that was released. I'm like, I'm getting there. My holds just came in at the library, and I just got a notification. There, I got that one. Then there's another one that I am. It's a fairly new one. It's called, and it's got one of those long, light novel titles. 7th Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. And this one is a manga and a light novel. You can choose whichever one you got. So, and this one is a noble lady who is engaged to a prince of a kingdom, and she gets dumped, or he like breaks off the engagement in a very public and very humiliating way. And then so she goes off and she is like, well, I got to figure out my life now. Well, then she turns 20, she dies. But then she is reincarnated, or not reincarnated, but she goes back to the day that that the engagement was broken off. But she remembers those 5 years, 5 or 6. Yeah, it's like those 5 years of that life. So she has like gone back, and like she has been a merchant, she's been a knight, she has been an apothecary, she has been, what else has she been? She's been all these things. And so she knows what's going to happen and like how the war comes up. So now she's on her 7th round of this. It's actually funny because it opens up with the prince is like, I cannot love you, I am not going to marry you, and like he is obviously trying to just make this as embarrassing for her as possible. And she's just kind of like, oh, okay, are we done now? Bye. Because she's like, what do I want to do with this next life? Because she's figured out. And then they're like, wait, no, why are you supposed to be like upset and distraught, and all the court ladies can pick on you? And she's like, yeah, no, well, whatever, bye, I'm out of here. So she actually ends up engaged to the prince of another kingdom, and he was the one who actually starts the war in a couple of years hence, and she is trying to end the war before it even starts. So that one is again 7th time loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy, and I'm on volume 5. I just finished the 4th one, and some of these I have to wait because lots of people want to read them, but we can never, or my library system can never get more than 2 or 3 copies at a time. So I have to wait. And then the other manga series that I'm wanting to highlight is called My Sister Took My Fiance, and Now I'm Being Courted by a Beastly Prince. And this one, I actually talked up to a coworker because we were just talking about manga and stuff like that. So this one is this another noble lady. She's like the only intelligent person in her family because her father is, I can't remember what his rank is, count, duke. No, he's not a duke, but he's not that high up. But he's a noble, but he is very bad at managing his holdings, his stuff. But his oldest daughter is the one. She's like, well, I don't want our family to be ruined, so I'm going to come in here, keep all the books, make sure our finances are like I know what's going on. Well, then she has a younger sister who they just spoil to hell and back. And in fact, to the point, like anytime the older sister has something nice, like when they were children, like a doll, a toy, a dress, the sister always actually has to have that thing, not one like it. Like, I want that dress, take it off and give it to me now. And they just kind of go along with this. So the older sister has been engaged several times, but then the younger sister always swoops in and she gets engaged to the guy because she just steals him away. And
if her sister has it, she has to have it. That includes men.
Exactly. And then she loses interest, and then she breaks off the engagement, leaving these guys who are too dumb to function to think, oh, well, I thought we loved each other. But so then this prince, and he's like the prince of the entire kingdom, he falls for the older sister, and the younger sister tries her wiles on him, and he just absolutely is like, "Be gone, thought," and which does not go over well. But the way that they deal with it is glorious because it's just kind of fun to see these obnoxious family members finally get their comeuppance, and I am here for it. But anyway, but the prince, he's actually he is blessed, shall we say, with the spirit of the lion guardian of their kingdom, and he can turn into a lion. Now, whether that's like big scary king of the beasts lion or a cute little kitten lion, he just kind of depends. So sometimes he'll turn into a lion and sit in the girl's lap and she'll pet his head. It's really cute. Anyway, so
whatever keeps the romance alive.
Pretty much, yes. And it's because they don't want. So the fact that he can turn into a lion is a guarded secret. They don't want people to know, not even within the kingdom, because spies and espionage, all that kind of stuff. It's like, let's just keep this under wraps.
On the DL.
So there's a lot of so it's also a bit of a so it is a romance, but it's also a bit of, I don't want to say political thriller, but it's sort of a, that kind of story where, we're navigating the social and political happenings of this kingdom and its neighbors and all these other things. So it's a lot of fun, and like I said, I love seeing an awful family get their comeuppance. So that's my sister took my fiance, and now I'm being courted by a beastly prince. It's a little more lighthearted version. If you've read My Happy Marriage or have seen the anime of that one, it's kind of a more lighthearted version of it. So if you like My Happy Marriage but wish it wasn't quite so sad, try this one out. So those are my manga series that I'm reading. And then we'll get into my novels, my piles and piles of novels. And I tried to kind of keep this reasonable, but anyway. So I will do this. I must sing the glorious praises of this author, Carissa Broadbent. Oh gosh. Well, okay. Her main series that she's more known for, because it's the one that she's working on, is The Crown of Nyaxia, and that's sort of a romantic fantasy, but with vampires. So it's sort of the ACOTAR, but it's got vampires. But it's but it's not just a clone of that. It's got these different kingdoms, the different houses, and humans and vampires and how they coexist, and all these different things. So it's actually made up of duologies. So there's one duology that's one couple story, and then there's another one. There's another couple's duology, and then she's working on the next duology, and then there's like a couple of standalone in the series that all kind of are in the same world. But my favorite of hers, and it's actually getting a re-release with brand new covers that are just gorgeous. And I saw it when the cover art was released. I was like, "These are perfect," because I read the whole thing. I have the indie published versions. These are great. The first book is called Daughter of No Worlds. It's The War of Lost Hearts is the series, and holy cow! I can't. I adore it. So the War of Lost Hearts starts with this girl Tisana, who's her whole kingdom, her home has been conquered by another kingdom, and they are taking into slavery and all that implies, and it's awful, horrible. Well, she escapes because she wants to go learn how to be a sorcerer, learn how to use her magic. And there's this these mages that she's been heard tales of, and they're wonderful and amazing, and blah blah blah. All things are great. So she's like on death's doorstep, and she gets there, and they're like, "Well, we don't have anyone who can teach you." Well, except for that one hermit guy who left because reasons. Anyway, so she goes, and his full name is Maxentarius Farleone. Everyone just calls him Max. He's a great character, but he is very haunted by terrible, awful things that he had to do in the course of fulfilling his duty, and
Let's say he doesn't also go by the name Miracle Max, does he?
No, actually no, not Miracle Max. Anyway, so it's like there's these two people that just have these awful, tragic backstories, which I know sounds a little cliched, but the way that it's done is so awesome, so great. They, and you will see it. You will see a recurring theme here. I like my love stories, I just do. Okay, I am that romantic at heart person, and I love it. So, but yeah, their relationship, like theirs, is not enemies to lovers, which I know is like a massive trope right now in a lot of books, but I mean, it's a little bit like it starts off, they're not quite sure about each other, especially because Max is like, I don't want anything to do with you. You guys made me do awful things. I don't want to be part of this, of the orders anymore. Go away. Leave me alone. I'm tending my garden. Shoo. Well, then Tisana comes in, and she's just this very naive but earnest person, but she's also not like stupid at all. And she's doing her best. Max's animosity is only because the orders, the people, his higher ups in the orders have made him take on this apprentice. But I mean, they're roughly the same age, so don't think like, oh, this is an old hermit guy who's not, or, you know. So, but then, you know, she kind of melts his cold heart, as it were, and he helps her, and then, you know, and then she kind of ends up going down sort of the same dark road that Max was going to, and he doesn't want her to, and he sticks with her, and there's a lot of intrigue, there's a lot of backstabbing with other characters, and then there's another main character that becomes important. So it's a trilogy. Like I said, War of Lost Hearts. They are re-releasing the books. Like a big publisher is doing it in the fall, I want to say, with brand new covers, and they look amazing. They are very unique. I love the artwork. I will put a link. Let's see. I'll put it in the show notes and all this stuff. But yeah, it's like, I mean, you've seen, I'm sure everybody has seen, the, you know, quote unquote romantic-y style of book covers, and a lot of them are nice, but some of them it kind of gets a little samey over and over and over again. And these ones are just, these are so different and so amazing. I'm like, if they make them available, I would love to like buy prints of these and put them up on my wall. Even though like the last one, Mother of Death and Dawn, the cover for that one, and I know which character this is. It's not Tisana. I'll say this. It's a little creepy, but it makes sense in context. I'm like, oh, these are glorious. Anyway, but I've been reading Crown of Nyaxia. Those are great. Another author I've been reading is Anna Huang. I'm probably not pronouncing their name correctly. This one is Kings of Sin book series. So it's like the King of Wrath, King of Pride, King of Greed. You know, it's the 7 deadly sins, basically. And so those are sort of like, you know, dark romance, but they're fun. Another fantasy romance author is Danielle L. Jensen that I've been reading. I just finished her Saga of the Unfated series, and that one is okay. Anyway, the titles are kind of a little funky, but so it's like A Curse Carved in Bone is the second one. I'm trying to think of the first one, how it or a fate inked in blood. That's what it's called. So, and I read that one last October. Really liked it. The second one was good. There were some things that were a little bit funky about it, but I still liked it. Her other series that I really like is The Bridge Kingdom, and that's another one where it's made of a duology, so like 2 books for one storyline. And the first book is The Bridge Kingdom, so but then the one I really like, so it's Bridge Kingdom, Traitor Queen. Those 2 go together. And then it's The Inadequate Heir and Endless War. Those 2 go together. And you need to know like the setting and the basis of this series. But once you do, you read Inadequate Heir and Endless War together. Oh gosh, that one, like, and I don't like the other 2, but those 2 were fantastic, and I loved the 2 characters in that. And then there's another one that it's the Twisted Throne, and then book 6 is going to be the next part of Twisted Throne, which is not out yet. And there's not a lot of info about it, because I think she just published A Curse Carved in Bone, so she's probably going back to the Bridge Kingdom series. So there's that one. This one, Alona Andrews. I'm sure a lot of people know her Kate Daniels series, or even like Hidden Legacy. I don't know, I'd never heard of it. Maybe it's more well known in the Alona Andrews circles. But they have another, if you don't know, Alona Andrews is actually a husband and wife author team, so they write together. But they have this series called The Edge, and basically The Edge is this space between normal world and the magical world. And there are some people who is just this boundary. And some places it's really wide, some places it's kind of narrow. And your magic the people with magic in the edge are very different than people who are in, they call it weird, it's the magic realm, and the broken is the real world. So the edgers can kind of go back and forth, but so like conflict from both sides can kind of bleed into it, and they have to deal with it. So it's like, so like the premise is, you can wield magic and do this, but then you go shopping at Walmart. So anyway, so that series I'm listening to the audiobook of. The reader for that one is Renee Rodman. She's done several of Alona Andrews books. She's great, and it's very paranormal, urban fantasy. So those are fun. And then I know we'll get to anticipating later, but they have another book coming out next spring called "This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me," and it sounds amazing. And I am, if I can manage to get an e-arc from NetGalley or another advanced copy in some way, I will do it. But I'm going to read that book. That one sounds awesome. And then I also recently finished reading The Heiress by Rachel Hawkins. She wrote a lot of fantasy for teens that I really like Hex Hall and Rebel Belle. But then she's also written
Rebel Belle. I love that
Rebel
series.
Belle was so good. I loved it. It was like basically it's like, you think you're your sweet Southern belle, home queen, whatever, and then she has the abilities of a fantasy paladin. Well, that's what she is. She's a paladin. But she's the beauty queen, the popular girl at school. It's fun. But then she also has written some sort of mystery thrillers for adults. And this kind of goes into the next thing I was going to talk about, because I've been doing the reading challenges on Goodreads. Now, a lot of us know about the set a goal, read this many books in a year thing on Goodreads. A lot of us do that. Some of us
they've added additional ones, little side quests.
Yeah, so they have side quests now. Exactly. So these extra reading challenges, and they switch them out every few months. And right now there's one that's called Poolside Puzzlers. So it's like all these mystery books, and here's this big old long list. Pick one, and then you get the badge for that challenge. And The Heiress was me getting that challenge. So if you haven't looked into, and they kind of bury them, you kind of have to look for them. So if you're on the main Goodreads page and you're logged in, sorry, I'm pulling it up so I can do this as I explain. So you can look at view. So on the side, there's like where your reading challenges. You'll click view challenge, and then you go down all this. It'll say like how many achievements you collected, and that's like basically you read in January, February, March, blah 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 down the line. So then you go all achievements in this challenge. Like I said, they buried this, and then you see all your reading, the 2025 reading challenges. Then you go down to more challenges. Come on, and then you see then you partway down you see summer challenge, or well whatever.
Right. Yeah, you're right. They really buried it, and they are taking a page out of the Amazon Kindle readers book challenge.
Pretty much. So like right now it's the summer challenge. It goes from July 1st to September 14th. And so they have the ones that are like, hey, you read 5 books. I'm like, well, yeah, I did that in like a week. But then they have ones that are like challenge faves, poolside puzzlers, chart toppers, and you click on those if it isn't like filled in with a little artwork. It looks like a bookmark. So challenge faves, for an example, you click on that and you go browse qualifying books, and that gives you this list of these are all the books that have been very popular this year in the reading challenge, and it's separated out by genre. So like if you're not into historical fiction, keep scrolling down. There's mystery thriller, fantasy,
young adult, I think. It runs the gamut.
Yeah, so you just have to pick one and read it and mark that you read it. So I've been doing that. And then I've also gotten into Storygraph, which is another sort of a competitor of such to Goodreads. It helps you track your books, but it also like lets you review them a little differently. And it's a lot more mom and pop versus Goodreads, where it's kind of an extra arm of Amazon. I mean, who knows how long it will last, because a lot of these small blogs or small websites end up getting gobbled up by big companies, but we'll neither here nor there. But anyway, Storygraph, well, it's thestorygraph.com. I learned that the hard way. You can actually set your own reading challenges. And I have this very bad habit of like wandering into, the book section over at Target or Walmart, and I see all these very popular. They were probably on Book Talk. I don't personally have TikTok, but it kind of bleeds over into Instagram, and I kind of see what the fuss is about. And I'm like, oh, I want to read that. I want to read that. I want to read that. And then I end up with all these books. I'm like, I said I'm going to read that, and then I never did. So I made up my own reading challenge. It's the TBR is the challenge. This is one I made. This is me. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes if you want to. This is by no means required, but if you want to look at what I have been reading or wanting to read, and yes, it's a lot of fantasy romance, sort of the stuff you'd see but then there's some, contemporary, some other stuff too. So this is just kind of some stuff I've just compiled for myself, but if you want to jump in on that, I'll have to make sure I actually put it. I don't think I set it to private. Maybe I did. I also don't have a deadline for it, but and if anyone else out there makes an account, starts their own reading challenge, and wants to share that out there in the ether, feel free. I just thought it would be fun, so this is me doing that. Anyway, so that is all my reading stuff. Oh, and also I've got a bunch of e-arcs from NetGalley, which is ARC stands for Advanced Reader Copy. And because I'm a librarian, I have an account on NetGalley, which lets me request digital, like ebook versions of these, and some audiobook. I can do that too. Books that haven't been put out yet, but they send you early copies, so you can read them, review them, decide if you want to buy them for your library or things like that. I review them. I like to do that. I've got a couple of ones that I'm auto approved for, but I have a long list of ones I'm trying to work through and review. So haven't really found anything that's set the world on fire and be amazing, but there's some good stuff in there, so I'm working on it. So anyway, so that's my reading part, and then I'm going to kick it over to Rachel and Holly, because I will talk about books all the live long day. So
I mean, it literally is your profession. So
it is my profession. This is true. Although I'm a children's librarian, and none of those that I recommended were kids' books. Although I'm more focused on the little ones. So I do a lot of picture books, and that's why my Goodreads challenge, why my goal is so high, because I also count my picture books in there, because Goodreads is a good way for me to keep track of what picture books I've read, and maybe I don't do it for story time this week, or maybe I'll save it for one coming down the road. So that's why when my challenge is so big, it's because I count my picture books that I'm doing too, and I read a lot.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and picture books, I could wax poetic about a lot of those too, but I've done enough. So.
Yeah.
All right. Is it okay if I go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. I'll start off with the One Young Adult series that I was kind of teasing earlier. I do read alouds every now and again for my middle schoolers, and this one I've done a book series, at least the first book, and then part of the second of the False Prince series. And with my first time reading it, I went to Goodreads and I clicked OK done, and it's okay, if you like this one, you want to try out this series, and it's called The Children of the Fox series by Kevin Sands. And
sounds familiar.
I read those, and the audible narration is done by Robbie Damon, who is Sailor, or the Tuxedo Sailor.
It's Tuxedo Mask in the new version.
Yes. And
okay, I clearly need to listen to this audiobook.
I love the way he does his narration. And then, well, also I kind of follow because he has guest starred on a D&D show that I love called Critical Role, and he was in this last campaign that they did. So I fell in love with him that way, and then it was like, ooh, okay, you've done this, you've done that. So it's just like,
and you know, he plays the new version of like one of my childhood crushes. So, you know, okay. So I remember the author sounded familiar. Kevin Sands. He wrote the Blackthorn Keys series. Which was, the first book was a Beehive nominee several years ago.
Yes, and that Blackthorn is on my to be read pile because I fell in love with this Children of the Fox. Basically, it's almost kind of like a D&D quest, but it's with an orphan, and they find out they have to steal this one thing, and it happens to be a magical object, and it's really good. So I highly recommend, because I might switch up my read aloud and this year and do the first book of this one, and then maybe False Prince.
False Prince is really good.
Oh yeah, the kids love it. Yes. The kids love it.
A lot of her historical fiction for kids is great, although I would avoid the Titanic one. But the other ones she's read are
good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Anyway.
And then moving on to more kind of adult, the Thursday Next series by Jasper Fforde. This one I kind of have put by the wayside, but then I was like, I need something fun. So I'm back into that one, and it's basically kind of a detective agency type thing, but it's all literary. Alternate universe, alternate history, and that's by Jasper Fforde. And then the other two, the Ruby Vaughn mysteries is by Jess Armstrong. She has 2 books out, and third one is coming, I believe, this fall. And basically it's set in London in Europe, I think after or during like World War I, World War II, and kind of supernatural-ish, and then some gothic, but really, really interesting in characters that you kind of fall in love with, and there's a little bit of a romance angle to it, but I've enjoyed them, and I'm glad I got in on the boat early, because Facebook, with me following books, I get numerous, you should try this out, and I saw an ad for this series and read the blurb, went to the library, they had it, fell in love with the first book that I pretty much decided use some of the credit that I had at Amazon, bought my own personal copy, and was like, book 2's coming out soon, click. So, and then the last book, I haven't quite finished it yet, but I'm enjoying it so far. It's by Caitlin Rozakis, called The Grimoire Grammar School Parent Teacher Association. And it's kind of a supernatural Harry Potter-ish, basically, the blurb says Harry Potter meets the Gilmore Girls. Seriously, what's not to like? And it's basically about this mom who winds up having to move her family to a new city because her daughter is a werewolf, and she winds up going to a magic school, and there's some mystery involved, but she's basically, mom is, they call them mundanes, which means basically just like human. So different word for muggle. And I'm about halfway through, and I'm hoping this continues as a series and it doesn't, be a one and done. So, but the humor is good. There's mystery, and it's not too spicy or heavy on romance. So if somebody's not looking for a romantasy, but a nice little cozy type supernatural mystery, that is something to look for. So those are all my books so far. Rachel, if you want to hop on,
Yeah.
ready your
Um,
list.
yeah. Mine's not nearly as long. It's mostly because a lot of what I have been reading and currently reading for last year-ish has all been research for my book.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a weird thing, and I'm sure other authors probably can commiserate with this, that when you're up to your eyeballs in research and you've just got so much that you want to get through, it's really hard to tear yourself away and read something just for fun, because there's going to be that little voice in your head going, "No, you should be working on your book. Yeah, you should be reading something related to your book, your research." Um, so, so yeah, if you look at, like, my Goodreads last year, a lot of it is obviously research for my book. Um, so And that's the case for kind of what I'm working on now. I will mention one book that I just finished literally yesterday. Um, because I just finished it, and it is not in any way related to anything for my book. But it's called Before They Were Monsters. The author's name is Pete Fleck. And I had gone to a book event. It was a bunch of local Indiana authors, and he was there, and he convinced me. He talked me into buying his book. This particular book, he was selling some of his others too, but this is the one he talked me into. So it's about this guy named Dwayne, and it the book covers like a couple of decades of his life, but it's, there's some time jumps where it jumped, like 5 years or 10 years. So, but it encompasses like 20-ish years of his life, and the people in that, either it's kind of like Love Actually, but if it was a crime, if it was like a crime thriller instead. So, but it's all this one guy and his daughter and the people that come in and out of their lives. So whether it's their neighbor or that's on their street, or kids that his daughter goes to school with, or, people he's encountered in his job, or that sort of thing. And it goes to, and it shows how, because I don't necessarily want to spoil anything, but it just goes to show how how little we actually know of our fellow human beings, even people that we maybe see on a regular basis. You think, like, the people, especially like your neighbor, your next door neighbor, they, his case, he and both his next door neighbor are out every day to collect, Dwayne's here to collect his kid off the bus. His next door neighbors collect his kids off the school bus. So, they know each other's names and their kids' names and the like. But you find out that, Dwayne doesn't know as much as he thinks he does, and his perception of how the world works based on not any real experience, but just assumptions, is flawed. Especially when, terrible things end up happening a bit too close to home. So, but, I was like, I like a good, like, mystery. This isn't necessarily who done it, because we know who did it. It's more figuring out the why and the fallout of it. And even then, I like a story that keeps me guessing to the end on what the resolution is going to be. And I told Peter this when I met him at this book thing. when he was trying to sell it to me, because I go to these things, they're like, "Oh, what do you read?" I'm like, "Well, I tend to read a lot of nonfiction more than anything." It's like, but I do like a good mystery if they could keep me from figuring out the ending before I get to the ending, because I have that habit of figuring it out before I get to the ending, and then I'm mad. Uh,
That happens quite a bit.
or I don't figure out the ending, but I get to the ending and the ending is disappointing.
Yeah, that happens too.
Yes. I've got a number of books, especially in that second category, that I could tell you. Um, but he was like, this, even if you do figure it out, you're still going to enjoy how you got there. Like, okay, you say so. He's like, I don't think you're going to figure it out. And he's right. I did not figure it out by the end. So he got me there. So yeah, but that one I started to read it and ended up getting distracted or something. I only got a few pages in, and then I came back to it the other day and um picked it up and could not put it down once I picked it up the second time. So um that's also a good sign. So because I was like, I need to see where this goes. So I mean, it is, he doesn't get, I mean, like I said, there's several crimes involved in this. um it's it's not gory, but he definitely makes sure that you know exactly like what particular crime has occurred. Like there's no confusion on what may have happened. You know what happened, even if he doesn't get into the grisly details. Um, so if you're a little iffy on that sort of thing, you might want to stay away from it. But it definitely tickles that armchair psychologist part of me that's all like fascinated by how the human brain works and why people do what they do. So yeah, there's that. But I just wanted to mention that because I literally just finished it the other day. So, and then currently, I've got, this is mostly research for the book, but it's okay. This one's not, but I'll get to that one last. But the first one is Fly Girls. And it is about the history of women in aviation.
Oh wait, I think yes, I listened to that one a while
Yeah, it's
ago.
by Keith O'Brien.
Yep, that one.
Yeah, he works for NPR among other things. But it is about, of course, Amelia Earhart is in here because she is the one that everybody remembers, but it's not just about her, but some of her contemporaries of the same era, that time has seemed to have forgotten because she's
Yeah,
got the name recognition.
yeah,
So
because she's the one who disappeared.
yes,
But yeah, because I listened to the audiobook of that one, and I'm like, honestly, all these other ladies are a lot more interesting than Amelia Earhart.
yeah,
As I'm like, we need like movies about these ladies.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I've always fascinated, I've got a soft spot for women in aviation slash space exploration. So, so this is right up my alley. I think even without, you know, potential, how much this ends up factoring into my book, I have no idea, but it's my wheelhouse anyway. So it was going to be something that was going to get read anyway. Um, and then the other one is um, the Girls in the Balcony: Women, Men in the New York Times by Nan Robertson. and this is about the history of the New York Times and how even within their own organization they discriminated against women in the newsroom. Um, so, which, if you know anything about the history of
New York Times being dicks.
yeah, well,
The
it
shock phase.
yeah, I know. So, not that they're on people's good list at the moment anyway, but yeah. That's neither here nor there related to that. So, um but again, kind of my wheelhouse, considering I love things like, Good Night and Good Luck and All the President's Men and stuff like that. So, um and then this last one, haven't had a chance to really get into it yet. But this is another local author, Paulette Brooks, and it's called Not Just a Homemaker: The Extraordinary Life of Sheila McGregor, and this is a historical fiction novel based around Sheila McGregor was a real person. She lived here in Indiana, and she was married to she was married, and her husband was quite successful in his own right. But he died well before she did, as is common. And when he died, she was like a footnote. He got this like huge obituary, and like she's mentioned, but that's it. But then all this time after he died, before she died, where as a widow, she had all this time to fill now because she didn't necessarily need to be the homemaker anymore. So she got involved in art and like the outdoors and all sort of stuff. And there is a park in Westfield, Indiana called McGregor Park, and that is who it's named after. And this whole idea is this huge park that's more than just a green space. It's got trails and stuff for hiking and biking and stuff, but it's also got um, space for, excuse me, preserving like native trees and wildflowers and wetlands, and they do different events and stuff. It's a 96-acre nature park, so it's pretty big. But like when she died, like her obituary was like a little paragraph compared to her husband's, which was like, like a page in the newspaper. And this author Paulette, discovered this lady's story and realized that there was way more than just that little blurb of an obituary she got when she died. But instead of doing just like a nonfiction, oh, here's this lady biographical type thing, she turned it into a historical novel. So, and it's about this uh a librarian. It's about a librarian who kind of, I think, takes Paulette's place, is the author insert. So, but yeah, that's again, this woman right here in Indiana that did amazing stuff that I'm a Hoosier native, and I've never heard of her until now. So I look forward to diving in and learning more about her from this author insert character as she discovers herself. And that's really about it. Of course, I've got the Dresden Files in audio format, always ready to go in a pinch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have
And
all
the
our
5 million Big Finish audios, but yeah.
Well, yes. That's a given.
So that's all I got for books at the moment. So next Let's see. Do we want to do watching? What are we all watching right now?
Is it okay if I go? Because I've got
Yeah.
I got two real brief ones. So, I've been watching Blind Spot. It was back in, I want to say like 2015 when it came out, but I missed the boat. And it was, by the time I wanted to watch it, it was off streaming. And now it's finally back on streaming on Netflix. So I've been watching it, and it's kind of a police procedural mystery about this gal who doesn't know who she is, but she has all these tattoos on her, and she, along with some government agency, they're trying to figure out who she is and why she has all these tattoos, and kind of like a mystery of the week thing. And it's been enjoyable. There's like 4 or 5 seasons. I'm still in season 1. I'm taking my time instead of steamrolling through.
Isn't that what's her face plays Lady Sif in the MCU?
Yes, that is her. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. She is the lead actress.
Vaguely remember when that was coming out. So
yep.
Because does she get found like in a bag or something?
Yes, she does. Yes, that's I mean, not quite like the opening of Orphan Black, where boom, murder.
Yeah.
No, she's in a body bag.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good way to hook people at the very beginning.
Yeah. And the mystery
was found in a bag.
And the mystery continues, because then somehow she winds up having this connection to one of the guys that is working with her to try to solve the mystery of who she is. So it's like interesting. So haven't quite solved that mystery yet, but I've got theories. So I'll see if my theories are right when I get further in. Then the other, it's not a TV show, but it's a movie that I've watched a couple of times now on Netflix that I'm hoping that they either spin off and do another movie, or maybe do an animated series. It's called K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh my gosh, I have heard so many things about this.
It's about it's 3 girls, not siblings, but they are K-pop singers, but they are actually demon hunters. And I don't want to spoil too much of the story, but I mean, it's really cute. There's almost like a Cheshire type style cat that is just cute as can be. And I'm catchy K-pop music, and the storyline is really, affirming. It's positive, and, accepting our differences and who we are. And it's like an hour and 45 minutes, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I've watched it, I think 3 or 4 times, if not more now. I mean, it's cool.
I know. I'm like, I've heard so many good things about it. I've heard people.
Me too.
Who are just like, you got to watch this. I'm like, okay, when I have a little extra in the budget, I will restart my Netflix subscription and watch this. It actually does look pretty good. Yeah. I watched the trailer on YouTube, so yeah, that one sounds cool.
Yeah, because if you get back on Netflix, this one might be one that kiddos might be asking.
Yeah, I was like, people have told me that my kids, Lottie especially, would enjoy it. Like,
I think Lottie would love it. Yeah, I think she would love it.
It kind of reminds me of if you don't know, in the 5th season of Sailor Moon, they have the Sailor Starlights, which is this boy band who just shows up out of nowhere, but they're actually the Sailor Starlights, and I'm like, and it's kind of like you watch it and you're like, why are you even here? Like, I don't get it. Like, what is your purpose? But then I watched this trailer for K-pop Demon Hunters, and I'm like, you guys were like the Sailor Starlights if they were actually useful.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yes, I'm very interested in it. So cool.
So those are my 2 for watching.
Oh, Rachel, do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Mostly because I have not, uh, I have not really been watching TV necessarily. I still have, uh, yeah, stuff that I'm going to get to eventually.
Mhm.
Um, so, but mostly I've been, other than the stuff I need to watch for like gold standard, we got films coming up like this week's movie I still need to watch, and I still need to watch this month's Patreon film as well. I also need to finish Ironheart. um but mostly I've been on YouTube, and there's these two channels that for whatever reason I don't know why they're, well, I say that I don't know why they were I kind of know why they were suggested to me. Um so one of them is called Trek Trendy, and he's this British guy, and after a while, he does kind of get a little repetitive. I will say that. However, but I think it's just mostly because he's just found a formula that makes filming and like editing and pumping out his content easy enough for him. So yeah, you see after a while his, he tends to, his videos tend to fit a formula. But there's not anything wrong with that, if it works for pumping your content out on a
If
regular basis, sure, why
if it
not?
ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. If you got a way to edit and it works, you do you, boo boo. Um, but his thing is, I don't know what this guy does for a living. He supposedly owns his own business, but honestly, I also think like he himself is independently wealthy, but I also think maybe he comes from old money, because his parents very much, they will show up every now and then on his adventures, and they seem to fit right in and don't find any of this weird at all. Like they don't fit in. But what his thing is he travels around the world and he shows you, um he flies, he takes boats, he does trains. The train stuff is really cool. um but he always travels at first class business, whatever the highest tier is on whatever mode of transportation he's on, that's where he's staying. So if it's on a flight, it's first class. And a lot of these, like these, because he does a lot of world traveling, so these longer flights, they tend to be the type of, the first class is like you're like a little pod, and like your chair folds down into a bed and
Mhm.
that sort of thing. Same thing with trains. If there's a suite, whatever the nicest suite is, he's gonna stay in. If it's a cruise ship, it's the nicest suite on board. Um, and he shows you, it's kind of like Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, but travel edition. Uh, where he shows you what it's like to travel in the most opulent, budget busting way possible. And it's like, it's really cool to see, like, when you've got the money, what you can get as far as travel and making things as comfortable as possible, especially on like long international flights and things like that. Um, I do have to say he definitely has the taste that's why I think he comes from old money, because the way he like eats and stuff, like every now and then, like he is a steak kind of guy. If there's steak on the menu, he'll eat steak. He's not against eating a cheeseburger, if the situation calls for it, if that's what's available on the menu. But when he eats like top tier, he eats top, like the most expensive champagnes. He eats caviar on the regular. Like, I could not eat and drink like he does because I would starve, because there's absolutely nothing there that I would touch. It's too fancy for me. It's too pretentious, is what it is. It comes off as pretentious. And that's not just him, that's just the food in general. Uh, but it is kind of cool to see, you know, kind of how the 1% travels. Like in some of those cases, I would be like, oh yes, if I was gonna be flying from like here all the way to like Australia, hell yeah, I'd want to, my own little pod where it folds down into a bed instead of be crammed into a regular airline seat for 16 hours or however long it is. Um, do I want to travel like that all the time? No, not necessarily. Uh,
I mean, you still gotta buy food and lodging when you get there.
yeah, and that's the thing is it's mostly about the travel and not the destination.
Mhm.
Um, more often than not. So if you're wanting to see like, oh, once he gets to where he's going, what's it like? You're not going to see that is the thing. So maybe eventually he'll do that, but I don't know. But for right now, it's really just about the traveling part. Um, so yeah, it's like I said, I don't know how I got there, but it's just kind of mesmerizing. Just like you just kind of want to see it. And then and usually it's toward the end is when he tells you like how much it would cost, and
Oof.
then you're just like, okay,
You're like,
uh,
and I'm gonna go die.
yes. um, so, but yeah, I do like travel stuff. Um, so, and then on the completely other end of the spectrum is this other channel. It's called Brew, just like BREW, like brewing a cup of coffee. Um, and it's these it's the guy at Wholesome, it's got a animated character that appears on the screen, so he doesn't. But he voices it. He's got friends that have other characters that come in and out. Um, but what he does is these videos where um the tagline that he has on his channel is solving mysteries one cup at a time. It's not always a mystery. I mean, sometimes it is. Like so the reason I got sucked in was a couple of these where it's like, Reddit uh solved this murder mystery after 20 years of being a cold case, that sort of thing. Um which those are kind of cool. Um, and then some of them are a little like you have to kind of pick and choose just based on the 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 title and the thumbnail. Like some of these would be like that might be a little gruesome. Um, um, but and some of the stories are like I knew about this, like the Tylenol back in the 80s when the Tylenol got tainted and that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
that's now why we have like the child safety on all the
Yeah.
pill bottles and stuff. Um so so some of them are a little wild like that. Some of them are kind of interesting. Like he's got one video about how humans might eventually be able to regrow body parts, kind of like Deadpool. So it's a mix of kind of um unsolved, not unsolved mysteries, because he's only showing them because they got solved, but like mysteries that did not get solved for a long time. um So, in some cases, it's people that, manage to survive or, something horrific. Uh, there's the story, the story of the Roanoke colony, if you know anything about that. So it's kind of a little bit all over the place. Like I said, your mileage may vary on whether I don't necessarily want to watch all of them just because I can tell some of them are a bit like, that's not really my cup of tea, but several of them are quite interesting. So, but yeah, for whatever reason, both of those channels got suggested to me, and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And then I gone down a rabbit hole with both of them, for better, for worse, with my poor brain cells. So, and that's all I'm like really watching on the regular, at least at the moment. I do have tangentially related, but it's tied to something I'm anticipating. So I'll wait till we get to that.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat. We don't really have TV. I mean, we'll pick up, something on Tubi or Pluto TV or, whatever streaming thing we have. I watch a ton of YouTube when I am watching. And I say this because there were some YouTube channels that I watched that are like news, current events type of stuff, but I'm like, okay, I have to like curb this because it's taken a toll on, just my overall mentality and mood and just me wanting to punch people. And that's not a fun way to be. So I'm like, so I swapped. So I still watch those channels, just not as much. But there are a few that I'm like, oh, these are fun. It's a great time. So one of them, well, I'll just kind of I'll try to go through them quickly. One of them is Elizabeth Wheatley, and Elizabeth is spelled with an S, not a Z. She's actually an author, and I discovered her. If you know Book Goblin, if you are familiar with the Book Goblin character, that's her. And it's basically, but she does these little shorts with Book Goblin. She does some that are like this snooty author, and it's like this author is like sitting there because she writes her own books. She's an indie author. She puts all her stuff out, and it's great. I should have mentioned her up with the books, but anyway, so she's books and stuff I'm watching. So she'll do these little videos. So the snooty author one, she'll like hold the laptop open, talk about, oh, this is such a wonderful idea, and then it cuts to the reader, and it's like, that's stupid. It's a little bit like pitch meeting, just between the reader and the author, and the reader just going like, no. And then the other one and the other little series she does is like the personification of different romance genres. So like you have contemporary romance talking to paranormal romance. And paranormal romance is basically the Southern girl wearing flannel and drinking out of a flask and has a hatchet in her hand. And then there's fantasy romance, and then in the middle of this, there's historical romance. It was like, how did I get into all this craziness? And she plays all the parts, and it's great. So she does, short TikToks, length videos, but they're on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, wherever she is. And then another couple of them. This one, I mean, there's lots of channels where people like watch movies for the first time and react to them. But one I really like is EOM Reacts, and it's this guy Jay, and it's just him and his two dogs are reacting to different movies, and they like and his buddy Blank is the one who like tells him he needs to watch these, but you never see Blank, you just see Jay, and he's reviewed everything from like animated Pixar movies to horror slasher stuff. I don't watch the horror slasher stuff. I try because like he'll put a little they'll put a little box where you can see clips of the movie. They won't play the whole thing, obviously, but they'll play it a little bit and edit it so like I don't like horror movies. I don't like gory stuff. In fact, I tried to watch one of his reactions, but I'm like, oh, they're showing too much of the movie. I can't do it. But I'll watch him react to these done. Stuff like Up and WALL-E. I think he just posted one for Wizard of Oz. He did all of Lord of the Rings, all of Star Wars. And he'll and then recently he did Mean Girls, and he'll talk about like what he knows about the movie before he starts. And some of it is like how, and I mean he's older. He's like our age, a little older, probably maybe. And I'm like, how have you gone this long and not known about these movies? But a little bit. We're getting a first timer, so they're fun. They're fun to react. I like those reaction channels if I can get a good one. Okay, and another one I've been watching is called In Deep Geek, and it's this guy named Robert who's from the UK. I'm pretty sure, and he goes over like the deep lore of things like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and The Witcher, and he's done a few others, but mostly his Lord of the Rings ones are amazing, especially because Lord of the Rings has so much deep lore that a lot of people don't know, but he will explain these things, and so that's a good one. Another one that I found, and I found this one from a short on Facebook of he was hatching baby sea turtles. Anyway, his name is Corbin Maxey. He's basically if the crocodile hunter was from Idaho.
Yeah.
He's run like
I like that description.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's run like a reptile rescue. He has his main attractions. He's got 2 full-grown alligators, and he's built an alligator house and a pond. And even last year he had like a alligator wedding. but he's been rescuing reptiles that were either that were illegally obtained or being kept as pets that they shouldn't have been. But he's like got a license to house these animals and keep them, and he's got a reptile sanctuary, and it's up in Idaho somewhere of all places. So it just amuses me, and he'll show videos of like recently they drained the pool in the alligator house, and they like had to clean it all out, and they were so freaking out because the 2 alligators they had to keep them outside while they clean because they're still wild animals and they're still but he's got them trained, and it was just funny, and he's like, and it's very much got that crocodile hunter vibe. It's like, oh, it's so dangerous, it's so scary, but he's gonna be fine. So he's like, oh my gosh, this guy is like this is a version of Steve Irwin. Rest in peace, my friend. So he was great. So that's Corbin Maxey. Another one I've been watching. So this channel's been around a while. Titanic: Honor and Glory. They're sort of an ongoing video game project, but they also do a lot of research into Titanic and things. Well, they started doing it's a podcast, so you can listen to it as a podcast, or you can watch it on YouTube. It's called Witness Titanic, and it's one of their guys, James, who is going through all of the like witness testimony from like the inquiries after the sinking, and he is kind of in a way reenacting like those official inquiries. So he'll like it'll be him like explaining like what the setting is and who this person is that they're interviewing, and then they'll go back to the transcript because they kept transcripts of these things as historical record of it, and he will go back and forth like he's the one asking, and also that he's also the person who's being asked to it. Although he's had a few people like do voiceover for it as the different people. It's really fascinating, and they like really know their stuff. And they're not like sensationalized about it, because Titanic is obviously one that they call it the RMS clickbait, because people like if you put an article about the Titanic, they're like, oh, what is this all about? Because it's such a crazy, just this remarkable event that people are just so fascinated by, and like the more that they can play up the sensationalism, the more clicks. But these guys don't do that. So and they're one of the ones that are like, hey, yeah, we're gonna take these people in their time, in their place, in their situation, not try to be like, well, if I was there, I would have blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, you're like 100+ years removed from it. There's no way you would have known, and if you'd been in that same situation, you wouldn't have done any better. So very, very grounded and historical. So their podcast is a lot of very fascinating. I hesitate to call it a lot of fun because we're dealing with tragedy, but it's interesting. It's one of those things that I'm like very fascinated by in kind of a weird way, but I love it. And then from something very somber to something a little more silly. If you've ever seen the It's a Southern Thing account, either on Facebook or on YouTube or things, there's this guy named Matt Mitchell who's spun off and done his own YouTube channel. And he's from Alabama, and he's very, very southern guy. And he just does like southern comedy, poking fun at the South, but in a very loving and affectionate way. During football season, he'll do this bit where it's like the SEC meeting, and it's all of the teams from the SEC in college football, like, and they're like arguing about what they all did during the week, or what the teams did or how they're doing. So he'll do that, but he has one series called Bless Your Rank, where he will go through and rank, like he did, like it was Little Debbie knockoffs was one of them, or so he goes to like all the grocery stores and like, what's your store brand Little Debbie cake, or what's your store brand lemonade? Yeah, and then he ranks them from all these, or fast food. Basically the southern version of Rhett and Link, even though Rhett and Link, they're both kind of from the south. I don't know. Anyway, but this guy's from Alabama. He's funny, and if you are ever enamored of southern culture, food, people, as I am, I like him. And then we're still watching a lot of Bluey. I watch it with Lottie as I'm putting her to bed. She likes to lay down and watch a few episodes while we're going to sleep, which I'm like, cool, we're doing that. And then Jared and I have a list of anime on Crunchyroll that we're going. That's one of the streaming services that we do have that I pay for. I mean, I didn't say that out loud, but yes. But no, I have Crunchyroll. I love it. It's great. And like I was saying earlier when I was talking about manga, there's a lot of manga and light novels that are being made into anime that we really like. So that being said, my first one on the list is they remade Rurouni Kenshin, which is one of my favorites from way back when, and they're actually getting to do the whole series because back when they did it 20 some odd years ago, the manga wasn't done, so they had to put in filler, and then the ratings dropped off, and so it got canceled before, and so then the manga was finished and it ended really, really well, and so now they're getting to actually tell the whole story, which is awesome. And if you don't know, Rurouni Kenshin takes place in the Meiji era in Japan, which was kind of when they were ending their isolationism policy. So there's a lot of like Western influence with traditional Japanese culture. So you kind of get that blend, and it's really fascinating, and especially delves into the warring states period that was right before then. Kenshin, the main character, he was like badass assassin, like the best during the war, but he is very much not a bloodthirsty, violent person, and he wants to, he did it to bring peace to his country and to end the war, and so he's very much a pacifist. But if you push his buttons, if you push him into, or you threaten someone he cares about, you dead. Well, not dead, but you're going to the hospital. the good book the good book is a little fuzzy on the subject of kneecaps, if you remember that line from Firefly. So yeah, Rurouni Kenshin, one of my favorites. Totally, absolutely recommend. So we're also watching things. There's a Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. This one is, there's this human girl who is sacrificed to the Beast Kingdom, the Beast King, but it turns out the Beast King, he actually turns into a human every once in a while. This is his powers. And the girl actually stays with him, much to the chagrin of many of his advisors that are around him. And they're like, how can you marry a human? And they don't know that he turns into a human periodically, and they want to keep it that way, but it's very sweet. There's a Anne Shirley, which is an adaptation of Anne of Green Gables, which anime has done before, but they're doing a new one. Another one is Secrets of the Silent Witch that we're watching. That one just started, so there's like maybe 2 episodes out now. But this one is, this girl is she has magic. She goes to school to learn magic, and she cannot say the spells out loud because everybody makes her nervous. She's got very crippling social anxiety, but in order to do her magic, she has to say the spells out loud. Well, she figures out how to not say them out loud, and that actually makes them more powerful. And it's such a remarkable skill that she becomes one of the 7 sages, which are like the most powerful sages in the country. But she just wants to be left alone in the forest to do her research. She doesn't want to be called out to do important things. and the only reason that she's so powerful is because she didn't want to talk out loud. It's cute and it's sweet and fun.
I feel that.
Yeah. My Dress Up Darling is getting a season 2. I think I've talked about that one before. That one's the sort of quiet, I don't really call him a nerdy guy, but he's the guy who he's just kind of unassuming. He has an unusual hobby. He's good at sewing because him and his grandpa run the shop that sells traditional Japanese dolls. There's a word for him that I'm blanking on it right now. And he's very good at it. And but then like then this girl is trying to use the sewing machine in the home ec lab at school, and he's using it too because his at home broke and he's trying to finish something. So he's like, "Well, I'll just use one at school." Well, they meet up, and she realizes you know how to sew, and she's a cosplayer, and she's like, "Can you help me make this costume?" And obviously, this poor guy, a girl has never talked to him in his life ever, and he's never talked to a girl. But when it's working on a costume, like he can stand there, or she can stand there in a bikini while he takes measurements, and he is totally okay, and he's not like he loses his mind a little bit because he just doesn't know how to handle girls. And
he's still human.
He's still human. Yes, this is true. But we've termed it as the most pervertedly wholesome show we've ever seen, or wholesomely perverted. It goes between the two. But there is fan service, but it's for a reason, because she's doing cosplay, and he's not like taking advantage of her, and he is like genuinely trying to understand the cosplay like culture and all of that, and just because he's like really good at what he does.
Good luck, kid.
Yeah. So he's not doing that. He is not modeling like the costume she is, but he's helping her build them, and it's really sweet, and he kind of gets into it. And then the other one, we actually just finished watching season 1. Don't know if there'll be a season 2. This one is the evil lord of an intergalactic empire. This one's another isekai, which there are many. So this one, it's this, and you actually see his modern day life. He's a sad sack, working too hard. Everyone takes advantage of him. His people at work take advantage of him. His wife is a terrible person, and even turns his child against him. And he just he expires, as it were. But then he's met up with this. They call him the guide, and he's like, I am going to grant you a wish, and you're going to have a better life. Well, the guide, we later find out, is actually he wants to cause misfortune and terrible things to people because he feeds on their despair and negative emotions. But so this guy, he's reborn as a noble of this faraway planet, and it's actually in dire straits. His parents leave him to take care of the mess, and but he just and like the guide is kind of working behind the scenes to make his life even more miserable. But every time he does, the guy actually comes out of it just fine, or even better than fine. So like pirates attack his homeland. He defeats the pirates and takes like all the bounty on their head. The guide sends him a man to teach him like fighting and swordsmanship, but the guy is not a swords master. He's not anything. He's a con man. But the kid learns how to do it. It's very silly, very funny. There is a little stretch where he has to rescue this group of, so it's this princess and her, basically they're like space Amazons, basically. But they were captured by pirates, and there were a lot of bad experimentation on them, some kind of creepy body horror. So if you're not into that, I would maybe fast forward through like episode, I don't know, 9 or 10, I think it was, or maybe it was more like 8. I can't remember now, but that was a little much. But other than that, but anyway, but he ends up bringing his kingdom, or his whatever duchy, his planet out of debt. The people are really appreciative. Their lives are better. And that's because he was all trying to be selfish and have all the money and all the things and all the stuff for himself. And he ends up making life better for all his subjects, and they love him for it, even though he's trying to be as evil and terrible as possible. So that's a fun one. So yeah, so those are kind of the ones we've been watching or wanting to watch or starting to watch. So anime, there's a lot of great stuff out there. So if you have Crunchyroll, or I mean, there's a lot of anime on Netflix and stuff even. So just go out and check it out.
Awesome sauce. All right. Next up, let's do. I don't necessarily have to do these in any particular order, but let's do listening to, and I guess it's my turn to go first. Of course, when I'm not reading, I am usually listening to podcasts, and some of these, hopefully I'm not going to mention anything I mentioned before, but I might, because, I'm subscribed to like 5 million podcasts. That's pretty much all I listen into. But one I have been kind of binging, and I know I'm grossly behind because this started during the pandemic. But it is Mayim Bialik's podcast, Mayim Bialik's Breakdown, which, if depending on your age, you either know Mayim Bialik from Blossom or is Amy Farrah Fowler on Big Bang Theory. But in between being on Blossom and then eventually getting the gig on Big Bang Theory, there for a while, she stepped away from acting and went and got a PhD in neuroscience. And then during the pandemic, she started this podcast, which a lot of it was talking to other celebrities. It was kind of her thing is like, it's like psychology, but not, because that's not her specialty, but it's more like, again, it is just that part of my brain that's like fascinated by how the brain works. And that's kind of what her specialty is. She never went to med school to get an MD because she couldn't pass organic chemistry. But she does have her PhD in neuroscience. It's just not an MD. But I mean, she talks to fellow celebrities about, things they've gone through, people that have suffered from addiction and things like that, because then she can give like the practical, this is what happens to your brain, or this is why you get addicted, this is why your brain gets you get addicted to things, or that sort of thing. But then she also gets into, it's kind of a crossroads of like science and psychology, psychiatry, and also like kind of metaphysical. Because like Mayim, she comes from her own background where she's spiritual, she's Jewish, she's a practicing Jew. Her co-host Jonathan has his own beliefs and his own background. But they'll have, 1 week she could have, like she's had AJ from the Backstreet Boys on to talk about his issues with addiction and stuff. And then like the following week, she could have a lady on who claims that she was a spy for the US government for like 30 years, but it's because she has psychic abilities. It's quite fascinating. Just because, there's still so much about how the human brain works that we don't understand. And that's, kind of her thing, is just trying to dive into these different aspects and different beliefs and different areas of study on the human condition essentially. So it's quite fascinating to listen. I mean, I started just like downloading just the episodes of like celebrities, like, oh, I want to hear what they have to say. And then it's kind of snowballed to where I'm just like listening to all of them. So especially when she starts talking to like subject matter experts, like a neurosurgeon or, a child psychiatrist or whatever. So it's quite fascinating. And it's fun because it's like, hey, I know who she is. Occasionally she'll name drop somebody and be like, oh, I know who that is too. Uh so there is that one that I have been listening to quite a lot. And like I said, it started during the pandemic, so there's a whole back catalog to listen to. And she's still coming out with new ones now, even now, but yeah, there's a whole back catalog to go back into. And then this other one, which right now there's only the first season. I'm kind of hoping that they'll come out with more eventually. Because I really liked it. I was kind of sad that there was only the 6 episodes for right now. But it is fairly new as well. It started last month, so but it's called Comic-Con Begins. It's the origin stories of San Diego Comic-Con and the rise of modern fandom. So this is available wherever you get podcasts now. Like I said, it's only season 1 right now. There's only 6 episodes, unfortunately. But it is a kind of an oral history of San Diego Comic-Con, and it's some of the people that were there, because they've got audio recordings from people that have passed on but are from back in the day. There's some celebrities as well. I will say the one thing is sometimes somebody else there's a lady who's an actress, and she's been part of it for a good chunk of it, and she does some occasional narration at the beginning and at the end, and maybe a little bit in the middle, but for the most part it's just letting the audio clips play to tell this story. They don't always tell you who it is that's talking. So especially if they're a celebrity, thankfully it tends to be people whose voices are quite recognizable for the most part, like Felicia Day. They never said, and now speaking Felicia Day. I knew Felicia's voice the minute I heard it. But it is a bit weird to you get into these stories and people talking about other people but not knowing who that person is. So I think when this was originally released, I think it was something that was behind a paywall, and I think there was more to it, honestly. And I think this is the free version they put out there, so I think maybe there's something missing. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure. So, but it's still really fascinating. And to hear about how this this little get together of comic book fans eventually has grown into what we call it Fandom Christmas. This multi-day, thousands and thousands and thousands of people descend upon San Diego. It's millions and millions of dollars. But how it started out is just this little group of comic book fans that got together in somebody's basement, and it wasn't until circumstances happened where somebody was trying to sell off some of their collection, because it was taking up too much space or whatever, and that they heard about get-togethers where people could do almost like a swap meet, or a flea market, but just for comic book fans, and how that kind of snowballed into what we've got now. So, but yeah, I kind of hope that they come out with more, because I don't think 6 episodes, even if the episodes are more than an hour long,
and
it
it's
barely
Sirius
scratches
XM
the surface.
knows what's good for them, because I did a quick search.
Yeah,
I would think they would continue on with something like that, especially with Comic-Con coming up, if they wouldn't add more
Yeah.
more stuff.
So they may be waiting till after this year's event.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that could very well be.
Considering this is so new.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but it's it's still really good. And quite interesting to hear. And of course, there's, like I said, recognizable names dropped, and some people you hear, some people you just hear stories of on secondhand, that sort of thing. So you hear Stanley and more than a couple times, like, oh, Stan. So uh but yeah, that's all available wherever you get podcasts. All 6 episodes are available, so to listen to. Other than that, if I'm not in the mood for a podcast, it's usually just one of my random playlists that is just a mix of anything and everything. So obviously, leading into Weird Al, I was listening to a lot of Weird Al. But now,
I can imagine.
Now that Weird Al's over,
anything's game.
anything is game.
For me, what I've been listening to, well, besides our normal, usual Doctor Who podcasts, I've been listening to, I hope he does a second season, but remember how LeVar Burton had his, where he would read short stories? Will Wheaton took that over, and it's called Storytime with Will Wheaton, and the last episode I think he put out was in May, but they were really good, different genres and all that. So I'm hoping he decides to continue. But I really enjoyed it because he even asked permission from LeVar Burton. It's like, is it okay if I go ahead and do this? And he's just like, yeah, I couldn't see somebody better than to go ahead and continue this on. So fingers crossed that he will do a season 2. And then another show that I've been listening to, it's a rewatch podcast, but it's called Supernatural Then and Now. I got back on a Supernatural kick, and Chuck and the Trickster, Robert Spate Jr. and I'm blanking on Chuck's name right now, but they are, and Rob Benedict, they are going through for the very first time and they're going to watch all 15 seasons of Supernatural and give their rundown. They just hit starting season 7, but they've had the writers, some of the creators, actors come on. So it's been a fun run. I've not been trying to steamroll through, but there are, for those who might be thinking, ooh, let me watch it. They do some spoilers because they kind of talk, in season 1, they're bringing up some stuff. And it's like, oh, that's going to be coming up in a later season. It's like, really? But it's still kind of, it's fun and it's enjoyable. So hopefully they will not run out of steam and decide we're going to hang it up. And then other than that, like you, Rachel, I've been listening to whatever playlists I have made. I've been listening to kind of quasi heavy rotation to the tracks box set, because as soon as we're done here, I have to hop over, and I'm hopping over to Set Listing Bruce to talk the last album in the tracks too. So so yes, that's what I've been listening to. So
well, I'm sorry to be a bit of a disappointment on this one, but I have been listening to audiobooks, and most of them I talked about in reading, because my audiobooks are my audiobooks and my reading and my listening. So yeah,
that's fair.
I like I said, I'm kind of trying to push, or not push back, but cut back, I suppose, on like any kind of current event type of thing, because some of it just exists to push my buttons, and I'm hoping to not have my buttons pushed. But yes, audiobooks, that is what I've been listening to the point that like even in the car when I'm driving with the kids, we're listening to the music that they want to listen to, which a lot of it is fine. It's off my phone, so it's obviously stuff that I have that I've curated. But the thing is, kids love to listen to things over and over and over and over and over again. And by the time I can drop them off, I'm like, oh hallelujah, I can listen to something I want.
Mommy time.
Yeah, mom time. So I'm like, I love my children, and I have chosen things to put on my phone playlist for them that I'm okay with listening to, and it's not going to get too annoying. But even your favorite songs, you're like, okay, we need something else. But yeah, but it's okay. I've also, because we do this when we go on like road trips, I've also just started listening to my audiobooks with my earbuds while the rest of the car listens to whatever music they want to. And it's usually on Daddy's phone, because I can't listen to audiobooks with Jared. We established this last year when we tried to listen to one. There was a kid friendly one that I'd listened to before, and then Jared started nitpicking. Well, this didn't work, and this didn't work, and it drove me crazy. I'm like, now I can't finish the book because now I'm going to be thinking about all your nitpicks. And he's like, oh, I did that, didn't I? I'm like, yes. So, yeah, I can't listen to audiobooks with him because his author brain kicks in. Anyway, so I love my husband and I love my children. I just cannot. There's certain things I have to.
Oh my. All right. Well, let's does anybody have anything they're working on besides these lists? Or can we skip that category and go straight to anticipating?
We can skip that category.
Yeah.
I know Holly's got to run, so
yeah.
So last up, anticipation.
Well, for me, whatever's coming up in the Marvel line, and then with me being a big fan of Critical Role, I'm looking forward to the next campaign, which they might or might not be doing Daggerheart. And then they are supposedly, news is supposed to be dropping with season 4 of their animated Legends of Vox Machina and the first season of the animated campaign 2 Mighty Nine. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And then anticipation of, when are we going to get some new Doctor Who, or when are we going to get the question mark that is hanging up in the air with what happened? So that's my anticipation list. And then whatever else.
Fandom Christmas, maybe.
Yeah.
That one. Well, for my anticipation, a lot of it's like personal stuff. Like, we're having a vacation the end of the month. Alex's birthday is next month. School starts next month. I'm definitely anticipating fall. And also FanX is in September, so we're looking forward to that. We'll be doing that. And then one thing we're kind of excited for, my library branch, the building was built 20 years ago, so we're doing a little party to celebrate that. And so my contribution will be, I'm doing a trivia contest, and I'm pulling like stuff like pop culture trivia from 2005, or what was going on in the world, history, that type of stuff. So that's been fun. But yeah, mostly I'm anticipating summer being over and fall being here, because it's my favorite time of year. Fall, cooler weather, Halloween, football season, and all those great holidays, which my children are already compiling their Christmas lists.
Yeah. Never too early.
I want that. Yep. Never too early.
Yeah. Yeah, very much looking forward to seeing what comes out of Fandom Christmas. Especially with possibly Doctor Who, since we know they're going to have a presence there. They were kind of teasing that via the socials. So that's exciting. Of course, we got Gen Con coming up. Looking forward to seeing how much I can squeeze into 2 days. Because that's all I'm gonna have. Oh my goodness. So, but there's that. Always looking forward to seeing what people bring. New and exciting stuff to Gen Con. So yeah. And well, by the time this already gets out, it'll already passed, so you'll probably know whether I'm successful or not. But cross your fingers, cross your toes that I'm successful when Paul McCartney tickets go on sale tomorrow.
Oh yes, best of luck, best of luck.
All good feelings, all good feelings.
Yes.
I don't blame you for wanting to go see him again.
Yeah. So, he's not getting any younger, and neither am I.
No.
So,
No.
at least that's the excuse I'm giving. Whether the credit card company will take that, I don't know, but that's their problem. But yeah, hopefully if I'm successful with that, that means a countdown to seeing Paul McCartney won't be until November, but that's okay. Of course, going back,
we'll hear your happy screaming all the way over here.
Yes,
all across the country. And
yeah,
beyond, sure.
Yeah, and of course, going back to work after the end of summer vacation, it's a blessing and a curse.
Yep.
And
anticipating that as well.
Yeah. Interesting to see what my second year of working in a public high school brings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest thing right now that I'm anticipating, especially now that it is signed, sealed, and properly booked, is Chauncey and I are returning to Disneyland this fall.
Ooh.
Oh, we're going during my fall break.
Happy for you.
In October. So this will only be his second time at Disneyland, my third. Because I went with my high school marching band way back in the day. But this will be our first time during Halloween season.
Ooh, so that should be fun.
Get to check out their Halloween party. In Florida, it is
Halloween.
Mickey's.
Halloween.
Yeah, that's in Florida at Magic Kingdom, it's Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And it's got parade and fireworks and trick-or-treating and fun stuff. Very similar in California, except theirs is at Disney California Adventure. And it is called Oogie Boogie Bash.
Ooh, nice.
And they have way more theming and not necessarily character meet and greets, but just characters popping up in places that you might not expect that bring some atmosphere to it. Apparently also their trick-or-treating is a lot better too. Their candy's much better than Florida.
I would imagine.
But from everything I've heard, their Halloween party is supposed to be a lot better, a lot more fun than the one in Florida, which I've done the one in Florida a couple of times, so it is fun. But this will be interesting to see how they do it out in California, and really because it's been a decade since the last time we went. We went during the 60th anniversary celebration. Now they're having their 70th anniversary celebration. That also means that since the last time we were there, they now have Galaxy's Edge, which is going to be a first for us, and Avengers Campus, which I'm going to lose my freaking mind.
That'll be a good time.
I am going to have to lose my ever loving mind the minute I set foot on Avengers Campus. Oh my God, I'm going to die in the best way possible. So that's what I'm really anticipating. So I got a countdown going. And the nice thing is I get a 2-week fall break. It's in the middle. So I got a little bit before and a little bit after. So that means my countdown is just to the countdown to Disneyland, not actually fall break. So my fall break actually starts sooner than that. So
cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At the moment, that's about it. It's just keeping my eyes peeled for just other exciting opportunities to pop up. So very much like Shalane, various local theaters doing shows. So keeping my eye on those, because Wicked was actually the end of the 24-25 Broadway season in Indy. The 25-26 season does not start until much later this year. So in the meantime, I've got to find like more like local, regional type shows until that.
Support your local theater companies.
Yes.
Because a lot of them are doing it for the love of it, not for the
money. Very much so. That's it.
Hopefully, we've beefed up your to be read pile, your to be watched, to be listened, and other fun things. I think we will be posting. I mean, I copy and pasted my list into the show notes, so I'm guessing sharing those shortly. Whenever this goes up, so you can go through and add it all to your whatever it is you use to track such things, to your lists, to your heart's content, if any of this sounded interesting to you. And the way you do that is you go to our website, which is thefivishfangirls.com. And if you want to send us feedback, if you've watched or listened to or done any of these things that we talked about, you can send us some feedback and tell us your thoughts on all this stuff. Our email address is fivishfangirls@gmail.com. And then you can also, like I said, go to the website. You can find us on all the usual social media places. Leave comments if you so choose. That would be awesome. We'll treat those as feedback. You can also check out our merch shop. It's all that helps support the podcast, as well as our Patreon. And you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. And as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting and downloading and sending feedback and all that stuff. We appreciate it. There would be we could not be us without you, to quote one of my favorite children's book characters, Elephant and Piggy. I threw one in there for you. So, yeah. Thank you for listening.
Yep. All right. Well, with that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Sally from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis. Not only should you support your local theater companies and locations, but with this list, all the stuff that we've added to you, a lot of it you can get your local library. Support your local library.
Yes.
Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, thefivishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FivishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.
Beautiful Anonymous changes each week. It defies genres and expectations. For example, our most recent episode, I talked to a woman who survived a murder attempt by her own son. But just the week before that, we just talked the whole time about Star Trek. We've had other recent episodes about sexting in languages that are not your first language, or what it's like to get weight loss surgery. It's unpredictable, it's real, it's honest, it's raw. Get Beautiful Anonymous wherever you listen to podcasts.